We are already starting to see the repercussions of Trump's tariffs. Countries are starting to retaliate, and the stock market is absolutely nuking, with the Nasdaq now in bear market territory. In today's video, we'll be discussing Bitcoin, the stock market, the unemployment rate, and the tariffs. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So, as I woke up this morning, Bitcoin was pumping quite nicely, and we made it all the way up to here, right around $84,700. But China came out and said that they would be imposing some more tariffs on the US. And when that news came out, we dropped immediately over 3.5%. Bitcoin has since bounced, and now it's looking like it's back on its way down. Now, if we go to my more detailed chart, what we can see here is that we were trying to hold 81.1K as support, and we pumped only to get rejected, and now we are looking like we're going to move lower, as we've been discussing on the channel. Now, as soon as we got this tariff news, the market reacted immediately, which suggests to me that these tariffs are most certainly not priced in, as a lot of people are saying they are. Now, what were the tariffs? China announced an extra 34% tariffs on US goods. And my question was, could Bitcoin still sustain its pump and show strength? Now, this is not the only thing that China imposed on the States. They actually hit them with some rare earth export controls. And the reason why this is important is because, as Scott Melker put it here, the US depends on China for up to 80% of its rare earth imports, which is critical minerals used in fighter jets and missiles, electric vehicles and wind turbines, smartphones, magnets, satellites, and more. Even when they mine rare earths at home, they will still send much of it to China for processing because they control over 85% of the global refining capacity. China isn't just the world's factory, it's the bottleneck for the world's technology supply chain. When China imposes export controls, it's not about trade, it's about leverage, and the US is in fact exposed here. And what did we see outside of crypto? Well, the stock market absolutely nuked. And from the high of 6150, we have now dropped just around 17%. Now, this is not even that severe of a correction for the stock market. We have seen much more severe corrections, and it's likely that we could correct even more. My theory was that we would correct at least 20%, which would bring us all the way down to this level, below the $5,000 level. Now, there is a big support level right below 5K, and there is a chance that we could bounce around here, but this is a disgusting weekly candle, if I say so myself. What we can see here is that there's not much of a wick, and the only wick is actually to the upside, getting rejected from the 200-day moving average. Now, this isn't just the S&P 500. If we take a look at the Russell, it looks even worse. And from the top, we have dropped 28% so far if we take the wicks. And the Nasdaq is no different. And taking it from the top, we have dropped about 20%. So the S&P 500 is the one that's actually holding up the best, but it's still not looking good. And some would consider here a 20% correction for the Nasdaq bear market territory. Yes, you heard that right. And what I wanted to point out here is that all things considered, with all of the tariffs and everything that's going on, Bitcoin is still holding up relatively well. Now, I'll probably eat my words here because I do expect Bitcoin to go lower, but it's still looking fine at this current moment, so long as we can hold 81.1K as support. If we can't hold this level, ultimately I do think that we will be putting in a new low. Everything is currently nuking, gold is even tanking, and we also have JP Morgan that raised the recession odds for this year to 60%. Those are massive odds, and this coincides with the same odds that the betting markets are putting out there, 60% chance of a recession this year. Now, markets are very forward-looking, and so I'm wondering if the markets will go ahead and price this in early. The true capitulation I'd like to see would be on Bitcoin, leaving a massive wick to the downside before we hopefully move on higher and put in a new all-time high. Now, I know that talking about an all-time high seems crazy at this point, but I have definitely seen weirder things in the crypto market. But ultimately, things are just not looking good for stocks all around. But if we do bounce out of this, which I do expect it will happen at some point, I think that Bitcoin will likely bounce the strongest, because as we're talking about in this video here, now the daily candle is hardly red. So Bitcoin is definitely showing some relative strength lately. Again, I don't want to jinx it, but this is exactly what you want to see for something that I consider the gold of the 21st century. As I always say though, this volatility is opportunity, and if you haven't already, you have to sign up to Weeks if you want to trade this market. It's the first link in my description down below. You get a 50% deposit bonus. If you deposit $2,000, you get $1,000 back for trading purposes. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. It's the exchange that I use the most at this current period in the market. So if you love volatility and you want to trade these markets and make some potential gains as we move both up and down, make sure to sign up. The first link in my description down below. And the last couple of things that I want to share with you before I wrap up this video: Trump is very stubborn, and he said to investors that his policies will never change. He confirmed this. He also said that China played it wrong. They panicked with their new reciprocal tariffs. And just to wrap up the video, we can also see that smaller countries are starting to cut tariffs because they simply can't afford this trade war with the US. One of those countries being Cambodia. They're going to cut tariffs on select US imports to 5%, down from 35%, which is a huge decrease. It only makes sense for these smaller countries to be friendly with the US because they likely want to have them as partners. Markets are absolutely nuking, but all things considered, at the time of recording this video, Bitcoin is still holding up relatively well. And if you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.